Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast where we get to the heart of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Gleek.
And I'm
The Magic
John
Monkey.
Brueggen.
The other Magic Monkey. Welcome back, John.
Thank
Good
you.
to have you with us. We get into the out of doors in this episode. You'll appreciate that.
Yeah, a little vitamin D is good for all of us.
Yeah, finally. This, of course, is minute 102 that we're discussing today. Minute 102 begins with our heroes being chased out of the mine tunnel by rushing water, and it ends with Shorty gleefully trying out the rope bridge.
Hey, gleeful's a good word because we start this minute with another premature smile. And, another instance where they think they're out of danger and they all have this gleeful look on their face. And then it's like, oh no.
Indy has a lot of those, doesn't he, in his career?
Yeah.
It's charming.
I bet he must be one of those lucky guys that can fall asleep the minute his head hits the pillow because he can go from 60 to 0 and relax instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've seen him do that. We saw him do that on the Bantu Win.
That's true.
Yeah.
And he did that
Yeah.
on the China Clipper.
And on the China Clipper, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he did it on the Lao Che
Oh, that's
chicken
right.
plane.
That's right.
You just learn to sleep wherever you can.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But he, I think, they're all smiling and then they see the water coming, but I think he's still in good spirits because he absolutely 100% grabs Willie's butt as they're all turning around to run away.
Yep.
Grabs her butt.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Kind of like on the side, but totally
Yeah.
grabs it. Like I think
Mike-
I think he's reaching for her hand maybe to like lead her out of in a chivalrous action star way, but he just grabs her butt.
Yeah, he gets a handful.
I kind of feel like that was just going to be this awesome move where he gets his hand around her waist and spins her around to be running the right direction. And
yeah.
and it's botched. I mean, it's
Yeah, because she's already doing it.
it would have been like this really cool James Bond kind of suave thing, and it didn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out for everybody, I assume.
I just watched that again. Yeah, it's really weird. He's like feeling up her thigh.
Yeah, he totally cops the feel right there. He just,
He does.
yeah.
He's too busy when they were all in their clean, cozy palace bedrooms. But now, when they're about to be killed by water, he's like, all right.
At second floor, we hear the Molaram Kali Wonder twins flood again.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
crystal clear. Yeah, the lion, form of a rushing Kali flood.
Yeah. No, wait, are we saying, like in this Wonder Twin scenario, is the lion in the water?
Yes.
I'm a little confused. Really?
Yeah, no, the lion is in the water, and it's
Oh.
kind of like, as John suggested, it's sort of it's almost like a lion. It's like the water is moving, sort of like a lion would be like racing, or I guess, I don't know if they gallop, but it's
Okay.
like water also with the force and the growl of a lion. I can't believe I'm actually talking about this.
I can't believe I'm writing down every word you say.
Yeah.
This is really weird.
I think it's Mola Ram yelling I think he's making like a T-Rex roar while he's surfing down the water.
While he's surfing down the water?
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is later at second 19, the flood lion shoots a pistol. Too. So it's like we have the flood, the lion, and I guess the lion's holding a gun.
Yeah, with like a silencer on it.
Yeah, it's like second 19. It's crystal clear.
Yeah.
The water comes racing out and shooting out the hole there. Speaking
Yeah.
of, we need to address something here. The mine trolley track, which Tom, you and John both discussed last minute.
Yeah.
And which one of our guests proved the mine trolley track is the longest mine trolley track in the world. I remember. So
Yeah, it's over 2 miles.
Yeah, it was over at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it ends. The track ends in a like 2,000-foot drop off, and I'm thinking, like, is this some sort of fraternity prank?
Psych.
You know, like, hey Moose, put the pledge in the mine trolley.
Now, see, I think this is the real reason why everything's dying in Mayapur village. I think they're just dumping the slag right into the river. Like, I think they run the mine carts down here and they dump them over. And that's why you've got another track in this other tunnel that probably sends them back up to fill them up with more slag and dump them into the river.
That's terrible.
See, I came up with something similar to that, Pete. I think this is the Temple of Doom's septic tank.
No.
And like all the waste goes into the mine trolleys, and then Mola Ram just flushes the water tower.
That's probably
Like just
it.
a whoosh.
Yeah. John, you were talking about this crazy composite shot last minute. And I actually love it because you get a shot of Indy and Willie and Shorty looking very much, by the way, like a nuclear family. Like, I think their little family's really kind of gelling, and they're definitely becoming the sitcom family. But you get that overlaid on this miniature footage. And we were talking a few minutes ago how Phil Tippett had this ingenious solution to scaling down water by shooting little jets at the water to atomize it, so it would look like this 1/3 scale model was actually like the water was actually a huge rushing thing of water. And if you watch carefully, like probably right around second 7 or 8, there's a little basket with some little rocks in it, and you can see the rocks start to fly up in the air. These little things start to float in the air, I think, when they turn the jets on, right as the water's about to get to them.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's kind of a neat little view of the special effects at work. But I think that's why they had to have this composite shot, because they had, they're running against, like, they filmed one thing with the miniatures and they had to film them separately.
That's awesome. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
These guys are having fun.
Yeah, and they've got like the little miniature lamps here and the force perspective. It's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I'll start with this then when they get outside. I can't, the shot of them, it's like that long shot of the whole side of the face, cliff face, and they're coming out of the hole, and it's shot as though it's just like a regular helicopter shot of that cliff, like the camera's like just floating a little bit, it's wobbling a little bit, like they're in a helicopter, but they can't possibly be, because I mean, my limited knowledge of this kind of like even like, John, you were saying before, like when Shorty's running around the corner, you see him like kind of run through a log or a wall or something, and everything's like a little bit like jiggly, and like as like the water's rushing out on this cliff and stuff, they're kind of like not solid on the rock. You can see they're just like images there and stuff. So I don't know how they would match what has to be like composited stuff of them running out of the hole in the cliff.
Yeah.
How they would match that with a float. Like now they do it totally all the time. Like the camera moves and they can just put the CGI stuff on there. But I don't know how they would have done that back then, and it looks really incredible.
I was wondering that too, because the camera actually sways like it's a helicopter shot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, did they fake that on purpose?
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because it looks absolutely real right here. Like my notes say best special effect of the movie followed by the worst special effect of the movie. And I think this looks incredible. This looks absolutely real.
Yeah, it's true.
It is a big matte painting that they did for some of this, and I was just gonna say, as you're getting there, if you're running from a dark tunnel, you've been underground for however many hours, I don't think I would have seen the ledge and stopped. You're blinded by the light. I think I'd have run right off the edge there.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I think so too. That's a good point.
That's a really good point. I love how Indy, it's forceful, but it's loving too. He pushes Willie out of the way, like to save her. I mean, he's like, he realizes like she gets kind of, actually maybe she suffers from what you just described, John. She kind of stops at the aperture there, and is sitting there until Indy physically pushes her out of the way of the water.
Yeah,
Right.
It's kind of. It's a great little detail.
It is.
Yeah. Going off what John said, like it's so bright and everything. Like I retroactively wish that we hadn't had shots Like there's like a weird, like kind of random establishing shot of Pankot Palace halfway through this, like around the time Indy was getting the collie blood. And then you also had the shot of like the kids running out of the palace and stuff when they all escaped. And I kind of wish we hadn't had those shots, because here you're like, oh my God, we're outside again. This is incredible. I haven't seen the sun in hours.
Yeah,
this is really amazing. And I not to shamelessly plug, but I do another one of these shows, the Caddyshack Minute. And like days ago, I just made the same comment that I'm going to make now. I was saying the Caddyshack is at its best when it's outside. And I think Indiana Jones might be at his best when he's outside. And I know that there are, examples for and against that, but there's, I don't know, there's, as soon as I see this and like for the rest of this movie, I'm kind of having a ball. I'm like, oh, I'm outside. I'm not like claustrophobically inside in the dark. And it's like you were saying, Pete, the red has been washed away. And, we're outside now and everything's great. It's like Indiana Jones time. It's sunny, sweaty.
Yeah.
He needs that hat to keep the sun out of his eyes.
And speaking of the locations here, I've figured out that Pankot Palace and the Temple of Doom are in the sky. Because, I mean, ever since we arrived at Pankot Palace, we've been descending, right? We've been going down into the basement where the Temple of Doom is. At first, we had the sort of the Flappistry, choir loft, and then we look down into the, the Temple of Doom sort of altar, sort of, I guess, the church. And, then we keep going after that. Like we're looking a level below when Indy goes past the Sankara stone altar and he like looks down in the hole where the kids are mining. And that's like a whole nother level below the Temple of Doom, altar or ceremony room.
Yeah.
And then in order for the trolleys to race so fast, gravity was pulling them down, further down into the mine because they don't have motors.
Yeah.
And then, so you're assuming it's just, you're at the lowest point that we've been at in the entire movie. Like, literally the lowest point. Like, I don't know, maybe several hundred feet below sea level or whatever.
I think it's just the emotional low point, Jerry.
And also all the water has flowed down. Like the water is still flowing down. So, and then we come out at the top of this gorge and there's nothing above us but sky.
Yeah.
Right.
But not only that, they jumped out of an airplane with a raft and they went way, way, way down a mountainside. And then they landed in Mayapur Village. And then from Mayapur Village to Pankot Palace, it was downhill the entire way. And when you see the shots of Mayapur Village, it's up on top of a mountain and there are clouds below them.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a really spectacular kind of dreamscape here.
Yeah, it is.
Or it's nonsense. You be the judge.
Well, it might be both because we also get the amazing 180-degree turn of the water right before it comes out. It's going one direction when they jump out of the mine cart and they run into that side tunnel, and they're smiling, and then all of a sudden the water's coming from behind them.
Yeah, it might as well go boo.
Yeah,
gotcha.
That water goes the entire distance of the trolley track.
Sure.
With all the lava.
Yeah, and then makes it like a hairpin turn at the end of it and turns around and gets him.
I mean, do you guys remember that huge like crevasse they go over? That like chasm of lava with the yeah, it was huge.
Jerry, the lion in the water just leaps over it. It's okay. It makes perfect sense. Form of a leaping water lion.
I want to go get in the tub right now and play.
Kaploosh.
Actually, I have a question for you, John, about because you do actually have a lot of the Indiana Jones maps and guides, and that's you seem to have a pretty good understanding of how things are, how the the buildings or the locations are sort of mapped out. And when Indy says, "Head for the bridge, go," do you know what he's talking about? Did they pass a bridge on the way to Pankot Palace or something, or did he like?
I think from where they're at, they probably have a good view of both up and down this thing, so they may have been able to just see it from up there.
That's what. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing when he yelled that. Like,
he's cut off from that side, but they're on this side with the bridge, and you may be able to see it there. He has to climb over the top of the hole they just came out of to get there. But if it's behind them, so he can just say, "You guys go to the bridge. I'm going to work my way around the rock here."
It's weird because it doesn't seem like you could see the bridge from where they are.
I think the view we have of them is from the bridge.
Oh, it's from the bridge?
Well, this is where I
weird.
imagine the bridge to be. Like, I think they have a perfect view of it.
Oh, you mean like, so maybe the camera swaying, that view of the camera swaying is actually perched on the bridge.
Well, okay, but if that's the case, why not just show the bridge? So that audiences in 1984, like, I know I was furious when I heard Indiana Jones say, "Go to the bridge," and I didn't know what he was talking about for a full 10 seconds. So why did they just show the bridge? I'll get over it.
Well, that's one of the problems with this movie. You know, you guys asked me at some point what was the order of these movies and what was my favorite, and I had a real hard time with this movie. I was 16 when this came out, and I loved Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I believed everything about Raiders of the Lost Ark, so I didn't have any trouble with anything about it. And then we got to this movie, and I walked out of the theater saying it wasn't real. The thing that absolutely did it for me was the mine car jump. I could believe everything else. I could, the guy sticking his hand in a heart in the guy's chest and grabbing a heart. That wasn't a problem. But there's no way that mine car was landing that way. Yeah. And so that was a big factor for me. I had quite a history with Raiders, though. I was 13 when Raiders came out, and I went on one of my first dates to see Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I had already seen it with my parents, and we thought it was wonderful. We talked about it for a while, but there was this girl in the church. She was the pastor's daughter, and she was all that, and she was a majorette in a band, and just might as well have been a head cheerleader kind of thing. And so I thought, well, this is it. That's a movie about the Bible, so her dad will let me take her to this movie. And so I ask her. He says yes, but he goes as a chaperone.
Oh, boy.
And so he sits through this movie, and I'm, she's liking it, I'm liking it. I'm thinking, I've really scored here, and we get out of the movie, and I don't think she was still standing there. I think he pulled me to the side to say, "How dare you bring my daughter to a movie with foul language and premarital sex and violence and it was just like the opposite reaction that I could have ever imagined.
Oh my God. Is there anything worse than being a teenager? Is there anything worse on the face of the earth?
Oh my God.
Exactly
That's
right.
incredible. That's incredible.
Oh my God.
I knew I was going to tell you guys this story. I haven't seen this girl for 30 years, so I found her on Facebook yesterday. And I connected with her and told her that story, which she vaguely remembered. And she's got kids and been married for 25 years now, and turned 50 last year. So, we just kind of reconnected a little bit. It was kind of neat. She told me her what was going on with her family and everything. And I think really the highlight for me was finding out where she lives now, because that was in Florida, and I have some history in Missouri, and I didn't know where she was. But of all the states she could be in, she's living in Indiana.
Hey,
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones Minute, bringing people together.
And you know what I love about that is that, after that, admonishment, you become like the biggest Raiders of the Lost Ark fan in the world.
Totally double down.
Yeah, whatever, preacher.
Yeah. Let's see how many other daughters I can take to this foul-mouthed movie.
Indy says a bad word once. Now I know there's a couple of other maybe blaspheming moments.
There's some.
but
She's his new goddamn partner, or whatever.
yeah, that's that breaks a commandment, but
That may have done it.
Yeah.
God, that's amazing. That's a great story.
That is. Made me uncomfortable.
I love it. It made me totally comfortable. You're like, yep, that's real life.
Yeah,
that's real life right
It
there.
wasn't just me.
Yeah.
I'm not alone.
And not only that, I love that we now have like we now have a part, in sort of the Indiana Jones canon. You have a specific spot, a pivot point in the Indiana Jones canon where you think that the series jumped the lion. It's that mind trolley leap, and it lands,
right.
and you go, that's it.
When did they come up with jumping the shark? Was that in the 80s as well?
That was, I think, the 90s. I mean, that comes out of that Happy Days Fonz
Yeah,
episode where I think
that's
they
right.
go to Hawaii.
But there's a
right?
guy. There's a specific guy, John Hine. He's the one who coined it. He wrote a
Yeah.
book about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it was based on Happy Days that they realized, a lot
Yeah.
of things just jumped the shark like Happy Days. They reached that point where they just got lousy all of a sudden.
You know what's really strange, and I haven't seen that one episode in a while. It was a dual episode, I remember.
Probably.
And it was like, it came out Sunday, and then you had to watch it, the following Sunday. Like, it was a 2-part episode. And what was so crazy about that is everybody goes on vacation. It's like a family vacation with the Cunninghams, and I think like Potsy and like Ralph Malph or whatever.
They all travel together for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, they all travel together. And then the Fonz, has to make the entire vacation about this challenge he has to do. And you're like, dude, we're on vacation, man. Like, we're on
Take your
vacation.
jacket off.
Yeah, exactly. We're actually in Hawaii. Like, we're here to relax, and you're making the whole thing about you, Fonz.
Yeah. Well, that kind of was his modus operandi.
Yeah.
It was sort of true to his nature.
I also get nervous. My finger twitches on the bleep button every time Jerry starts a sentence with Fonz. But I think it's interesting that almost as common now as jump the shark is nuke the fridge.
No, that's true. That's gaining. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're working our way there quickly.
Well, what's fascinating is I think that part, and I'm being dead serious, I think that mind trolley jump was maybe one too many. That was the straw that broke the
Yeah.
lion's back. That's one too many.
Even back in I think I said this before, even in the 86 or something, I remember reading a thing about Indiana Jones and how it was actually an article saying oh, why can't people just relax and like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? It's a good movie. It's fun. It's and they pointed to that oh, everybody hates it when the mine car lands on the track. Like they all go, oh, come on, it's just a fun weird thing. Why does that get? And I don't know. I can see it both ways. I mean, yeah, it's kind of funny that it lands, but it's also what's going on?
It might be also just there's too many straws that have added up by that moment. It goes to what you were saying, Pete. It's a little just at that point we've had enough Looney Tunes-edness.
Yeah, it does get he kind of amps it up here in these couple of minutes with that stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, camel can hold a lot of straw, but eventually there's one too many.
You can lead a camel to straw, but you can't make it make sense.
Pete,
Yeah.
you're great at decoding gibberish. What does Shorty say to Willie here? So Indy says, head for the bridge, go. And then what does Shorty say to Willie?
He says, come on, Willie, this way.
Okay. All right. I couldn't really hear that. And what's strange
It
also
is muddled, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I thought maybe it's "Come on, Willie, quickly" or "Come on, Willie, I don't care."
I almost thought he said, come on, lady.
Yeah, maybe "Come on, lady." Because
Hey, you.
what's interesting is my
Come
next
on, D.
note is
Snyder.
It does sound like lady, actually.
how many times does Shorty actually say Willie's name?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Only at the very end when he finds out that he loves her. And that
When
she's
he-
going to be his new mommy.
From then on, it's mom, yeah.
Admit it, you all cried during that scene. I know we're jumping the shark, jumping ahead.
Nuke in the fridge. Yeah.
We're nuking the fridge. Oh, boy.
And she's also barefoot. That's got to be really, really unpleasant. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka is really, really a hot place. And those rocks have to just be, I mean, that's got
Yeah.
to be unpleasant.
Well, they're getting
Yeah.
rapidly cooled off by the water right now,
Yeah.
yeah.
perhaps.
Well,
And then
everybody's
falling
feet
away.
are smoking, smoldering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, minute 102 induces panic for me because they finally escaped the Temple of Doom and they're so close, and yet they're about to suffer death by erosion. And, you know, I figure, like, I guess that's how most of us ultimately die anyway.
I was going to say, it's sort of it's as you say, a microcosm of the history of the Earth.
Yeah, but just not this quickly, you know?
Yeah.
This whole wall looks like it's solid rock when we're panning away from it, and then I'm sure it's the desired effect. But those poles coming through the wall are shocking. You're sitting here watching it, and all of a sudden they pop through there because you maybe saw a little debris in the water, like there's an oil can at one point and something, but it's not like you saw this water and a raft of debris in front of it before.
Right.
Yeah. That's true.
Could that be a railroad? Like, is that a railroad tie?
It's round. It's too round.
Oh, you're right. It is round. I love Shorty's reaction when that first one comes through. He freaks out.
Yeah.
It's maybe like support poles. It's definitely round wood, but it's if that is rock, then it just busted through solid rock.
Yeah.
It had to be like chalk or so. It had to be some really soft.
Yeah. Are there a bunch of dead thuggy guards being washed out here that we can't see because of all the water?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or there should be.
There should be, yeah. Just guys who just fell by the wayside during the mine chase and everything.
That would explain why there's just a little glimpse as the rocks fall out from Indy of some predators in the water.
Ah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sea lions.
Can everybody go to second 31?
Uh-huh.
You're going to make me get up out of my chair and go to second 31. Fine.
Is that... Look right by Indy. Is that a bird's nest? John, I'm glad we have you on the show. Can you confirm or deny? Is that a bird's nest?
I would say no. It's just a pile of raffia for some reason. Maybe they're covering something up there. I don't know what it would be.
Could it be an empty bird's nest?
Could be. There's one bird's going to stick his head out and go, there goes the neighborhood.
Or is this foreshadowing? Because in the last movie when we saw Straw, we were about to get to a very famous scene involving swords. And suddenly we see a little pile of straw.
I like that.
That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anywhere else. Then he starts climbing, and there's a wide shot of him, and there's no grass on there. You see a little grass near her foot, right before the mud washes away.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
And this is a crazy collection of shots, because they filmed like the shots of the bridge itself. And some of the long shots are filmed in Sri Lanka. A lot of these close-up shots are filmed in London. And then, as we will learn a lot more, I'm sure, next minute.
Yeah, the couple places in Florida, they sent a B team out to get all the alligator shots.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like they really did an amazing job, kind of piecing all these together. It's amazing, like filming shots this far apart from each other, and they all seamlessly flow together.
People don't know that we record this show, like this episode was done over the course of 3 months.
That always makes me really sad.
When I fakey.
Yeah. It's just like it's 3 months later or 6 months later in London.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, Jerry, don't ever sit and watch a wildlife show with me.
That's not even the duck that we were rooting for.
Exactly.
that Komodo dragon lives in Providence, Rhode Island.
I've done those shoots. I had a film crew call me and say, look, we're supposed to be filming a Cuban crocodile, but we can't get permits to go to Cuba. Can you make the exhibit look wild?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We can.
I've lost so much respect for you now, John. How could you?
They
Oh
paid
my
for the
God.
plants.
There you go.
You know, there's this fan magazine called Indie Mag, and in volume 3, it's a February 2015 issue, there was a guy from Oslo named Ronnie Vidal, and he wrote about going to Sri Lanka to try to find places that they filmed. And there were 2 major sites he found. One was the site where the stones sit in the village, but the other was the only thing left of that bridge across this chasm are these 2 stone pillars. And
Wow.
he found a driver to drive him up there, and it was it's a really great article if you get a chance to read it, because he pays this driver to drag him out, and the guy is arguing in another language to get him into that spot. It was a restricted area for some reason, and
I think it's a military installation.
yeah, and he finally gets there, and it's like this lie. He's heavenly angels singing, and he sees these 2 stone pillars, and that's it. That's the highlight of the trip.
That's awesome.
What part of Sri Lanka was that?
It's up by Kandy, up in the hill country. It's way
Yeah.
up, right in the middle of the country.
It's a place called Victoria Dam, and completely restricted. And he said he would have had an easier time getting in there if he had some cigarettes to trade the guards, but he didn't.
I think you sent me that link originally, John, before we went to Sri Lanka. So we'll post that in the Listeners Crusade online.
Yeah, great.
Wait a minute, I'm getting something coming through here.
Oh,
What?
This just in from Professor Christy Porter. You Americans are all the same, always overdressing for the wrong occasions.
What?
I don't get it.
Come on! Nobody's even looking at Willie. She said they're hanging from a cliff.
Yeah, but she didn't get dressed up for that.
Well,
She
it's
kind of
just
she bared the midriff. She kind of dressed down a little bit.
Christy, get your visor on and telegraph this back to her. No.
well, I don't know. She looks a little kooky out there.
All right. Actually, just put a note in the duck's mouth. Get it to her that way. Well, if that does it for 102, I want to turn to John and say, John, could you please come back tomorrow for 103?
I'll check my schedule, but I think I can free something up.
I think you should, because I think you'll like it. There's some fun stuff in 103.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite minutes, I think.
I believe it. Jer, where can people get in touch with us so they can reconnect with girls that they took to Raiders of the Lost Ark when they were 13?
Oh, God, I need a minute. You just took me somewhere else, Tommy. No, they should come to the Indiana Jones Listeners Crusade, which is our fun group on Facebook. And there's all sorts of behind-the-scenes screenshots and, pictures of snakes and alligators and crocodiles and Komodo dragons occasionally, and people yelling Jones.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. We also have T-shirts at T Public, which is there are a lot of fun designs.
There are.
Yeah.
They're pretty awesome.
Sure.
By the way, if you want to find our shirts on TeePublic, somehow they make it impossible to search for Indiana Jones Minute on the site. So you have to go to our website and click on the tab that says shop or TeePublic, whatever it says. It's next to the Patreon one. And
we do the searching for you.
Yeah, click there and it'll take you right to our shirts.
Yeah. And then also click back here tomorrow for minute 103 of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom here on the Indiana Jones Minute. Jones!
You need an echo here. Jones.
I'm on a clip.
Alligatorfarm.com.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.